The next part of your experiment involves setting up a reflux apparatus. This reflux apparatus will be used to extract free fatty acids and for the production of biodiesel. In order to do this, we have to begin with the condenser. This is the condenser right here. The condenser is actually already set up for you, but there are a few important things you need to understand about the condenser. First off, if you see any leaks, you need to inform your TA instructor right away. If anything looks wrong at all with the condenser, inform them. It's very important that nothing is wrong with the condenser. The next part is taking this tube. This tube is where the water exits. We don't want the water to be exiting all over our fume hood. We want it to be in the sink. So you take your exit water tube and you place it in the sink behind you. Make sure it's nice and in there. And we're ready for the next step. Next, we'll be attaching our round bottom flask. This is our round bottom flask. Inside it, it already has our algae and the reagents that are needed. Now, it's not just simply attaching the round bottom flask onto the condenser. There's more to that. The first thing to do is we need to grease our condenser. To do this, you'll have to undo the top clamp and have your condenser like so. The next step is getting your grease. Now, when you're doing this, you don't want to put a lot of grease on, just enough. I'll show you. You don't need to squeeze the grease, it's ready to go. First, you want to add a little bit here, then a little bit here, then a little bit here, and then a little bit here. Now you're ready to attach your round bottom flask. To do this, take your round bottom flask, slide it up the condenser, and turn it. You know when your round bottom flask is attached properly to the condenser, where you see that the cloudy part of the round bottom flask is now clear at the top. You can tell when you put on too much grease because the rest of the cloudy part of the round bottom flask will also disappear. You don't want that to happen. The next step is adding a clamp to attach this. Here's your clamp. Your clamp has two sizes. There's the bigger ring and the smaller ring. Bigger ring and smaller ring. You want to take the bigger ring and attach it like so. With your clamp, you want to make sure the big part is attached to the round bottom flask and the little part is attached to the condenser. You now want to take this setup and attach the round bottom flask to your clamp, like so. Then tighten the top one. And your condenser and round bottom flask is ready to go. It's important that you set it up properly because we don't want any accidents to happen here. The next step is turning on the water for the condenser. To do this, there is a green knob called CW right in the middle of the fume hood. You're going to turn it slowly to your right. You want to open it slowly. just like that. Now your water has entered the condenser and you're ready for the next part of setting up your apparatus. Next is adding your heating and stirring supply. To do this, place it right here. At this point, you do not want to plug it in. Remember, do not plug in the heating and stirring supply. Now, you'll be adding your oil bath. Your oil bath is already ready for you in this container with a stirring bar. Take off the lid and place the oil bath down. Make sure everything lines up. And now we're going to lower the round bottom flask and condenser towards the oil bath, but we only want the round bottom flask in the oil bath. To do so, we now have to adjust these clamps. Loosen the top clamp, and now loosen your bottom clamp. And slowly bring your round bottom flask and condenser down into the oil bath. From this point, you will tighten the bottom clamp, lower the bottom clamp, the top clamp, sorry. Tighten up the topper clamp. Tighten up this clamp. After you've done that, the next part is to now attach your thermometer. To attach your thermometer, use a clamp like so. For when attaching a thermometer, you just want the black portion to touch the oil bath. You don't need any other portion to touch. Only this black part. Once you've inserted inside the thermometer, inside the oil bath, tighten the clamp for the thermometer, and that's set up. So now, remember, you have your thermometer, just the black portion in the oil bath, ready to go. You have your round bottom flask just inside the oil bath. Condenser's all set up with water. The exit water tube is inside the sink. And now the last and final part is turning on your heating and stirring supply. To do this, lift up this black panel right here. Just like that. You'll then take the cord, put it through, close the black panel. Now you have your cord, and you can now plug it in. Once it's plugged in, you can now adjust your stirring bar and your heat.
Remember guys, safety first. Don't forget your goggles, lab coat, gloves, proper footwear. Common sense might be a good asset too. Before coming into lab, make sure you read your lab. And when in doubt, always, always, always consult your TA. See you next time.